talking, have you guys heard anything about when, since it got pulled from the theaters, they're going to try and hurry it out to DVD now?
I think it's going to come, I think video on demand is going to come pretty quick. I think they're going to try to do that, and then I'm sure DVD. I think what DVD was going to be 90 days anyway, so it should be, video on demand should be pretty quick.
Just cause a big film studio that wasn't backing the film that you weren't able to get rated because, I mean, the Saw franchise.
Well, that's the way it works. I mean, that's the whole point of studio film versus independent film.
Of course.
You know, MPA is a corporation's business. They get paid to rate movies. When you don't have money, it's hard to get things done.
Absolutely. They are much harder on independent films than they would be on studio films because, you know.
I mean, there were some gruesome kills, and, you know, but it wasn't even worse than stuff that Saw.
I agree.
I loved your curb stop.
Yeah, thanks. There is some very graphic stuff, but it's so over the top that I can't believe anybody even takes it seriously.
It's like Adam always says, you've got the wrong guy, man. Like, this is the wrong movie. What do you know? I mean, look, anyone see Passion of the Christ? I mean, we always talk, like Adam always talks about The Hills Have Eyes.
Right.
You know, I mean, my God, there's that scene, and like that's what when he went in front of the board, and that's what he talks about. He's like, you know, there's a scene where she's getting raped in front of her baby, and the father's out, burnt alive, and, you know, I mean, I remember seeing that in the theater going, oh my God, of course, going, oh, why didn't I audition for this? But, for Vanessa Shaw's role. But that's hardcore. Way, way worse than anything we have in Hatchet.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, but, you know, we have only so much we can do.
It's politics.
I think it falls under the category of money talks. You know, its bottom line is the big studios, Universal, and, you know, they've got the money to do what they can, and then, you know, they have that backing power, whereas the smaller films just don't have that. And I guess for some reason don't command the respect that they deserve.
Maybe it'll change one day. I mean, I was shocked and excited for when I watched the Academy Awards this year, and I saw the montage to horror movies. I was like, oh my God, getting some recognition? Like, oh wow, people are paying attention? Maybe things are going to change. Maybe in my career at some point I'll see things shift. I thought we were starting that with Hatchet, but, you know, we'll see what happens.
Does Crowley's father, you as Crowley's father, do you get more screen time in Hatchet 2 than you did in Hatchet 3?
Crowley's father got more screen.
Yes, I do. As Victor's father, as myself in the flashbacks, there's quite a few more scenes this time. Like I said, the sex scene, you see the birth of Victor, you see a lot of things explained, and quite a few more scenes.
Good emotional stuff too.
Oh, thanks.
Really
Yeah.
good stuff.
I did have an emotional scene where I'm, you know, yelling at the house and crying, yes. But
For real.
Yeah, and you know, I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that, so that's cool. Kill count in Hatchet 2? All of them. Oh. Well, it's interesting because I'm in the process of writing a book, and I'm writing with a guy named Mike Aloisi. We're writing my biography, and we're researching to get the exact total. I'm not sure what it is, but from what we've come to find out, and I doubted it at first, but then I started thinking about it. He believes, and I think he might be right, that I have killed more people on film than any other actor ever. And this is not like killing people down. I'm proud of that, but, you know, murders, actual murders, because 4 Jason movies, BTK, Ed Gein. I have 3 movies coming out this year that I played a killer, multiple killings. And
17 alone in Hatchet 2.
Yeah, 17 in Hatchet.
Someone said that was the most kills in a movie ever. I heard that rumor.
I read that too, yeah.
Read that?
That's the movie with the most...
I don't know, maybe, but the total's pretty high. And I think it's kind of cool to think that maybe nobody is... Because most actors make a career out of playing all different kinds of characters. I just kill people.
You're good at it. Thank you. Speaking of past films, is there one that you hold near and dear to your heart? Like, what's your favorite role?
Obviously, I always loved playing the Jason character. I never would have stopped if it was up to me, but it wasn't up to me. And between Jason and now Victor, probably the favorite roles. Little parts were fun. I did a movie called Monster with Charlize Theron. She won an Oscar for it. And I played the cop that arrests her at the end. Even though I only have a couple lines, it was just very cool to do a scene with such a talented actress who ended up winning an Oscar for that role. So that's kind of a special one too. That's one of the rare times when I first talked to the director. She said, "I'd like you to be the stunt coordinator on this movie, and I want you to play a character." And I said, "Okay, what bad guy is it?" She said, "No, I want you to play a cop." I said, "Wow, a cop, all right, that is different. He'll be undercover in a biker bar." That's why then. So I didn't look like a cop, I still look like a bad guy, but I did arrest her, and it was the scene that we shot was in the bar where the real Eileen Wuornos was arrested. Not far from here. We shot most of the movie right here in Orlando.
What about you, Danielle?
I did this movie called Wish Upon a Star for the Disney Channel with Katherine Heigl that was like Freaky Friday where we switched bodies. And I thought it was cool because I was cast last minute because they couldn't find someone. I was playing Haley, who was like 14 in real life. I think I was like 19. But I'm really older than Katherine Heigl in real life, so when we switched bodies in the movie, they needed someone that could play the older sister. So it worked that I looked so much younger, but I was actually older and a little more mature than her. So it kind of worked out. And you know, I didn't like this movie, but I loved. I had a good time filming it. Was Daylight with Stallone because we shot in Italy for 6 months. So that was really fun. And then I did this series, you know, I did this cartoon called The Wild Thornberrys for like 1 million years. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever done. Because I get to go to work in my pajamas and make a complete ass of myself and do weird things. And then, God, there's so much fun. And then Father of the Pride, I don't think anyone ever saw that because that got canceled pretty quickly. But it was Carl Reiner, John Goodman, Cheryl Hines. The Lion cartoon, I played the Sarah, the daughter. So it was weird because we worked for like 1.5 years and they had all these little cameras in the room. And when I finally saw the finished product, I was a lion, but her eyebrows moved like mine and mannerisms were like mine, and it was really weird, but really fun. So that's some cool stuff.
Any questions?
What was it like to work with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans in The Last Boy Scout?
I love Damon Wayans.
That'll tell you something right there.
Love him. One of my favorite people I've ever worked with, if not favorite. And Tony Scott is probably, I don't want to say my favorite director, but I just have like a sweet spot for him. I just love him as a person. I wore braces in the movie, and they were fake. And I had to go to the dentist and get fitted for fake braces, and Tony took me in his Porsche, and you know, I was like standing in the room with me, and I had to get like a tooth pulled to get him fit or something, and was there, and just super cool. I have a funny story about Bruce. When I auditioned, when I final callback for the role, it was me and the girl that was in Alienation back in the day. It shows you what year this was. I'm totally aging myself right now. And Bruce said to me, we were done. It was Joel Silver, Tony Scott, and Bruce, me in the room. And someone said, like, so what's your relationship like with your dad? This time it was my stepdad. And I said, I think he's an asshole. And they were like, oh, this is probably our girl. And then Bruce, I was walking out, Bruce goes, hey, so what's your favorite movie? Mine, that I was in. And I said, favorite movie of yours? I don't watch your movies. I like Moonlighting because I like Sybil Shepherd. And that was true. I love Moonlighting. So he thought I was acting and being the bitchy daughter, and I was being serious, so I got the job.
It was kind of interesting too, because I was one of the stuntmen on The Last Boy Scout.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Did you tell me that one?
I think I did, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
It was the scene at the Coliseum at the end where
You did tell me the
there's a bunch of SWAT guys on top of the scoreboard. I was just one of those guys that it had to be all stuntmen because it was very high and we weren't cabled off and stuff. And
You know the scene where after I go into the woods and with the puppet, and I think Damon's character is supposed to pick me up, and we're running, and Bruce has got his back, and he's firing at them with the gun. My stunt girl, whoever they hired, weighed more than me, and whoever Damon's stunt guy was couldn't carry her and run, so they had me do it. I was like, that's great.
That figures. I think I know who that was. And I have a little Bruce story also. I did a movie called Nothing Roy, Chevy Chase, John Candy, and one of those three, by the way, I think is an asshole, but I'm not going to say who. And I was like an acting double for Dan Aykroyd. He played two characters in big makeups. And one was Bobo, the fat baby, one of the fat babies that wore galoshes and a diaper. And then he played the Justice of the Peace in another big makeup. So when he was the Justice of the Peace, I was Bobo. There were scenes together. So a number of times I was in that costume. And Demi Moore was in the movie. And one scene we had to tie her down on this thing where she's going to be cut in half or something like that. Tie her down to the wooden platform, and I was to tie her legs, and you know, the director didn't really say how to do it or anything. We just tie her up, we'll shoot the scene, and when came time to tie her legs, I thought it would be, this is just my creative impulse, I thought it'd be cool to open her legs like that, and then tie them way wide open, even though she had shorts on. I'm yanking her legs apart. And then they cut, and I look over, and Bruce was like, when they were together, so I don't think he was too happy that I ad-libbed yanking her legs apart.
Bruce is actually, he's fine, he's cool, he's a nice guy. It's just, he's Bruce Willis, you know? Manny, go for it.
That's three.
Along with writing my book, I guess I'm going to be doing a movie in November. Moundsville State Penitentiary, and somewhat of a horror movie. I think I killed people, and I'm not sure. That'd be new. And you know, I have a movie coming out called Sickle, one called Old Habits Die Hard, one called Exit 33, and one called The Afflicted, which was interesting because I played an abused husband. And Leslie Easterbrook is my abusive wife, which is very cool. And she beats me to death with a baseball bat. And I thought this was so clever because she beats me to death in the backyard of our house. And then she says, oh boy, I gotta get rid of this body. She tries to drag me. She can't drag me. Story-wise, it's like, holy shit, now what do I do? Got a dead body in the backyard, my husband. So she gets the station wagon, ties a rope around me, and drags me with the car back to where she can stash the body. I just thought it was kind of a believable scene because everything always looks so easy. And somebody does something and didn't plan it ahead. And it should be an interesting movie.
That's good, because I watch those movies and go, oh, please.
Yeah.
She could never live 10.
Right.
So I love that you did that. That's so cool. I did this awesome vampire movie, real vampires, not sexy, pretty vampires. Thank God. Not that I wouldn't have wanted to be into it, but I'm just saying, called Stakeland, actually, that the guys that did Mulberry Street did, and it won, it was the Toronto International Film Festival, and we won the Audience Choice Award for Midnight Madness, which is huge, because we're up against some big dogs. It just is, I'm so proud of it. So it's Dark Skies is releasing that too, so I think it's, and Kelly McGillis, Nick DiVici, and Connor Powell and myself. I think that's coming out about March in the theaters, and we're almost done. We're still working on some stuff for Night of the Living Dead, The Origins. It's a 3D CGI animated feature for Sony. I play Barbara. And so the face will look like mine, eyes, nose, mouth, face, I'll have kind of dirty blonde hair, and my voice, Tony Todd comes back as Ben. The guys that did Avatar are doing it. I mean, this shit looks sick, sick, sick. So it's really, really cool. So it takes place current day in New York City. So that's coming out probably early spring-ish. And I just did a movie with my good friend Michael Bean and Jennifer Blanc called The Victim. And I just did a scene in this movie called The Trouble with the Truth. That's a drama with John Shea and Leah Thompson, because I'm a huge Back to the Future. And I get to do this, normal scene with this guy and sitting across from him and telling him that I'm going to get married. So that's what I'm working on. And Horror Gala. Eventually I'll get my website up, hopefully by the end of the year.
Cool. All right, well, I want to thank you, Kane and Danielle, for joining us today.